Hi, my name is Shiv, and today I'll be presenting some information on personas. History of personas. The term persona was coined by Alan Cooper in 1998 in his book, The Inmates Are Running the Asylum. User personas now help teams ensure that products are user-driven instead of just feature-driven. Personas are now used heavily in research, design, and product management. What is a persona? A persona is a fictional person who represents a major user group for a product or service. Personas help guide decisions about functionality and design of various products and services. Personas identify the user's motivations, expectations, and goals responsible for driving online behavior and bring users to life by giving them names, personalities, and often a photo. What is a persona? Although personas are fictitious, they are based on knowledge of real users. Some form of user research is conducted before they are written to ensure they represent end users rather than just the opinion of the person writing the personas. They help you identify major user groups of your product or service. You select the characteristics that are most representative of those groups and turn them into a persona. Personas describe the target users of a tool, site, product, or application, giving a clear picture of how these users are likely to use the system and what they will expect from it. By designing an interface to meet the needs and wants of specific personas, the needs of wider groups of users with similar goals are met. Personas tell stories about users so that people in an organization can understand the user and what the user wants. Personas are users that act as stand-ins for real users and help guide decisions about design and functionality. Why use personas? They provide very powerful yet quick and simple guidance for strategic and planning decisions. Each persona represents one particular user group and is created after rigorously analyzing and categorizing data from user research. Each persona is a combination of the common traits of multiple actual people making up a specific user group. Personas help identify the following: goals, what users are trying to achieve, such as tasks they want to perform; behavior, online and offline behavior patterns, helping to identify users' goals; attitudes, relevant attitudes that predict how users will behave; motivations, why users want to achieve these goals; business objectives, what you ideally want users to do in order to ensure the product or service you are testing is successful. What do personas provide us with? They tell us who the users are, what the activities are that they wish to perform, why they might use or buy various product or service, their motivations, and how a product or service fits into their life. Personas lead to better understanding of customers, shorter design cycles, and improved product quality. Personas manage and share research, represent important patterns about behavior, provide a user perspective for guiding design, prompt new design possibilities and features, and can help trigger further research. Personas are important because different people have different needs and wants. Personas help create products and services that cater to these specific needs and wants. Personas are great because they avoid designing for the average user. And as a design research tool, personas are a powerful way to communicate knowledge, interests, influences, activities, goals, and pain points. How to develop personas? There are 6 steps. First step is to define the problem. Second step is to find users. Third step is to decide on a research method. Fourth step is to conduct research. 5, analyze research data and identify persona sets. 6, write your personas. 1, define the problem. It's very important to first define the problem that you want the personas to solve. For example, these personas will help us understand people's behaviors around exchanging electronic documents to help our team design a website tailored more towards that activity. Find users. It is very important to identify the people you need to study in order to understand the problem you already have defined. 3, decide on a research method. One of the best ways to gather this data is to interview real users. If you have access to users, decide who to interview by listing the groups of people that might use your product or service. If you're doing a redesign project, think of current users as well as potential users. Trends are usually seen after talking to around 10 or more users. However, You may need to speak to more if there are a lot of users with vastly different needs. Once you hear the same thing over and over again, it's time to stop. If you really cannot get access to a lot of users, then attempt a combination of data of the following research methods. 1. Survey users and stakeholders that are using quantitative methods. This is a great way to gather large amounts of demographic data to identify trends in skill levels and tasks performed. 2. Interview business stakeholders that interact frequently with users. These people are already conscious of users and behavior patterns. 4. Conduct research. Get into the field and meet the people you have identified. Interview them, ask for demonstrations, and observe the environment in which they would use your product or service. Interviews with users are best conducted in the environment in which they will use the product or service. This provides the opportunity to observe what users do as opposed to what they say they do. Here's some good information to gather. A. Users' frustrations about the product. B. Their needs, wants, and values. C. What the users like or dislike about the product. And D. Basic demographics such as age, job, family, hobbies, and interests. Be proactive and listen to users, stakeholders, and anyone else that can provide you with valuable information. 5. Analyze research data and identify persona set. Compile your observation from each visit, interview, survey, and focus on the observations that in your mind are defining characteristics of each person whom you visited. Given the problem domain you're studying, review all the research data and look for patterns in attitudes and behaviors. For example, if you interview people about travel, you might find patterns like users who are price-driven as opposed to quality-driven, users who travel frequently as opposed to infrequently, and users who prefer to research their holiday rather than asking others for suggestions. While looking at these patterns and behaviors, you will begin to see clusters of attitudes and behaviors that make up different personas, such as a frequent traveler who is very skilled at finding the best prices. This person is motivated by keeping the cost of each flight low so that he can continue to travel more in the future. Once you have identified and defined these clusters of attitudes and behaviors, you now have to give each persona a name and brief description and some basic information, which I'll cover in the next step. Last step is to write personas. Include relevant information on the user's age, occupation, interests, hobbies, goals, attributes, and background. How to use personas. Here's an example. We have some information on 4 different personas with their name, their age, location, social life, and work life. Here's another example of a shop manager. We have some basic information on what he does. He is a manager in the lube shop operations. He's married, has 3 children. We talk about his goals and his daily responsibilities. Here's another example. In this persona, we have Timothy's goals, as well as his age, what he does, where he works, and what he's striving to do within work. And the last step, or the last persona I have, probably the most detailed, is of Isabel. We have information on her life goals, end goals, experience goals, challenges that we found with this persona were high expectations, fast, easy, and useful. And some of the frustrations and motivations that Isabel has at work. Here are some conclusions about personas. Personas are very important in product design and research. Personas transform data and details into true and meaningful insight. And personas help create products and services tailored to users' needs.